Get up. Get up. Get up.
Yo, what is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast, the official podcast of the New York Mets, episode number 134, going over the series against the Oakland A's. It was a crazy weekend, not only in Mets land, but for me and James as well. I went to 3 Major League Baseball games in the span of 24 hours, which included Albert Pujols hitting 699 and 700 in LA. Then went to the Yankees game, thought I was going to see some history there. Aaron Judge just doesn't have a clutch bone in his body, couldn't do it for me. And then we were in Baltimore Saturday night. So it's been a crazy 48-hour stretch for me. James joined me in Baltimore. He's had a busy weekend too. The Mets had a busy weekend. We have a lot to talk about in Mets world and in our personal lives. So hopefully you guys stick around and listen. If you're enjoying everything that you're seeing, listening, watching on here, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're listening to us, or that's not how I normally do it. See, my brain's broken. I normally say the YouTube first. If you're watching us on YouTube, New York Mets YouTube channel, subscribe over there. And now, if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. James, my brain is broken. You were with me yesterday, and I was just flubbing words more than I normally do. How are you feeling? Because I'm tired as hell.
I'm tired as hell, too. We got off the train coming back from Baltimore. We got on the train like 8:55 by the skin of our teeth. Made it by 3 minutes.
Miss Tina, shout out Miss Tina, the Uber driver.
Shout out Miss Tina, great Uber driver. Anyone else funny to shout out that we met? We met a couple Mets fans in Camden.
Yep, I had my Uber driver, Rupinder, from the Bronx, who the train was leaving at 3:04 to get to Baltimore. I was like, I got to get there by 3 because I don't really know where I'm going in Moynihan Train Hall yet. Need to be there by 3. Way said 3:02. She's like, I got you. Don't worry about it. She got me there in plenty of time, and Uber drivers came in clutch with the driving going on in the cities. You got to appreciate that.
Yeah, major. What else? My brain's kind of broken too because we got off that train. I went straight to my office. I did football, live tweeting all day, and now we literally came home and just prepped the show.
Well, you talked about the guys that we met in Baltimore. How about the guy who was Bjornsson, the bullpen coaches, his cousin,
his 2 cousins?
Yes, his cousin.
Yes.
What you chatted more with him, so I don't remember what
was his name. Craig or
Chris? Because remember,
Craig is the Mets guy. Yeah.
So we had some electric threadheads for the Instagram in Baltimore about like Mets type people. Like there was the guy wearing the Logan Verrett jersey.
Yes,
which was
and
crazy.
He worked for the Orioles. He's been doing Camden Yard tours. He said for the last 15 years, and he was wearing a Logan Verrett jersey. We also had a couple that weren't Mets related. We had an Alexander Ovechkin Orioles jersey, and upon further review of these pictures that I posted on our Instagram, I saw that the guy who was wearing the jersey went into Camden Yards with a Ziploc bag with 6 hot dogs in it. Cooked hot dogs inside buns.
It's insane. That's absolutely nuts.
It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. A lot of funny food in Ziploc bags at the Orioles game. I think their rule is you can bring food in as long as it's in a Ziploc bag, and people just really stretch that one out. So we're sitting next to a cool dude wearing JJ Hardy jersey. That was pretty funny. And then there's another
lots of Buck Showalter jerseys,
yes,
of course.
Lots of Buck Showalters. A couple people who said they were rooting for the Mets this year just for Buck, which is really awesome to hear.
Of that, we love the people in the city of Baltimore. Had a great time there. And then, of course, it ended with the Bjornsson jersey. We saw the guy on the street. They were in their 60s.
I'd say 50s. I'd say one was 40s, one was 50s. The guy we hung out with was 50s.
Yeah, and they're not familiar with the Instagram likes. So when we told him to take a picture, it was a whole ordeal. He was like, how do you want me to stand? Then the other guy got in and put his arm over it. I was like, you got to lift your arm. You're blocking the name. That's the whole point of this picture. And then he was like, can you text it to me? You sent him a text, to which he replied with, I love it. I mean, it was so genuinely like whatever this guy was, but he gave you like a sincerely Chris at the end of the text message.
It was like, thank you, comma, nice to meet you, comma, space, sincerely, comma, Chris.
And then we saw him at the bar after we went out at Pickles Pub. We're sitting at the bar. All of a sudden, I go, hey, look who it is. And he's talking to me and he's telling me the story about meeting us. He met these guys who host this Mets podcast, and he's going to be featured on it. So, Chris, hopefully you're listening to us. We are these guys. And it was great. It was a great night in Baltimore.
It was a great night in Baltimore. Great ballpark. I'm almost ready to adopt the Orioles as my American League team.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
The way they're coming in the next few years, they're going to have chances to beat the Yankees, which is always fun. Like the Rays are my default just because they're just unbelievable. But Orioles, especially with us going to a series there next year, traveling there and it being pretty easy using the Amtrak from Penn Station, like that's a possibility. But I digress. Very fun weekend. Both our brains are broken. Now we're going to talk about a series in Oakland that was just really, really weird.
It was bananas. I like to throw it out there. That was a banana series.
It was bananas. I don't think any game was within any closer than 6 runs, but
No.
for the final score, which is really bizarre for how the Mets have played baseball this year. Just 3 complete blowouts, like I just said. 2 really good pitching performances, pretty good pitching performances from Mets pitchers. One shockingly poor one that we'll break down.
Yeah.
You guys know Jacob deGrom didn't pitch well against the Oakland Athletics. It was really rubbing people the wrong way. We got some hilarious notes about it, but started on Friday where Chris Bassitt was pitching in a game where, if I remember correctly now, going back in this week, we had already seen by the time this game began that the Braves had lost to the Phillies on Friday night, correct? Aaron Nola threw a gem, if I remember. Yeah, Jacob DeGrom got hit hard. Yes.
I was at the Dodger game seeing Pujols make history, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing Pujols hit, and the Phillies are smoking the Braves, and the Mets are smoking the A's. It's like, this is like one of the best baseball days I've had in a long time.
No, and it was. And then the Mets got on it early. This was Eduardo Escobar hitting a grand slam. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
First grand slam of his entire career. Second Met to do that this month, including Mark Vientos, who hit the first grand slam of his career early in September against the Marlins. This was just a very clean game for the Mets bats. A lot of hits.
Yep. Mark Canha had 2 doubles quietly, 20 doubles on the year. McNeil had a double, his 38th double of the year. That's a shockingly high amount of doubles. We love Jeff McNeil. You know I love a good extra base hit, especially doubles, as I've been told by Foolish Baseball. That's kind of a meme that I'm a doubles machine guy. Love a good double. And Eduardo got the home run. The Mets just really were putting the ball over the park. McNeil 3 for 5, which was good because he had been a little bit cold, coming into the series. Wasn't necessarily swinging the bat the greatest. But really, like, we hit. The A's weren't very good, and Chris Bassitt was on the mound doing his thing. A little bit differently than we've been used to, but it's kind of been a trend recently as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about Bassett for a little bit because a lot of people are just seeing that he's like striking out less hitters. And that is definitely true. Like his strikeout rate has dropped 5 percentage points from the first half to the second half, 25%. First half, 20% second half. But I do think that's like, while that's like a meaningful amount of a drop, I think there's more just like weird mitigating circumstances that are kind of around that. Like really, if you look at Bassett's season, he had this crazy strikeout rate spike in June specifically. Struck out 29% of hitters he faced. One of the best months of his life in terms of strikeouts. And every other month has kind of hovered around that like 20 to 22% range. Besides August, which was very low at 16%, which again, like one anomaly high month, one anomaly month low. So the drop off looks worse because again, he had a really hot month and then now he's had a very cold month. And those are the 2 months that are very consequential when you look at half by half stats. But there are also some factors I think are related to this drop in K rate that could mean that maybe shouldn't expect the strikeouts we saw in the first half from Chris Bassitt. First of all, just a regular ebb and flow of a Major League Baseball season. His velocity is down a little bit. Usually pitchers will peak in that like early summer range because it's when you're like the most warmed up with the least fatigue, nicest weather, all that. Like his velocity peaked in June when his strikeouts peaked in June.
Yeah, you broke off the rust a little bit too, because like even with spring
training,
you're not tired yet. That's probably when you really do feel at your top of your game.
And Bassett has a hilariously like funny line of velocity where he's of course like slightly below league average velocity. He doesn't even like really throw that many 4-seam fastballs, but the difference between sitting like 92.5, 93 and like 93.5, 94, 94.5, which is where he was in June, that's major for missing bats. So I think that tiny bit of velocity that's been lost, which is really just natural in the course of a season, has made a difference for Bassett's strikeout rate. Also, he's throwing significantly less sliders, which I don't know if that is purposeful or if that is maybe just a difference in pitch classification on Baseball Savant, but the slider rate is down significantly from early in the year. It peaked in June, actually, which is also the month he had the most strikeouts and has been trending down recently. And then lastly, guys like Chris Bassitt who are relying more on command than on their stuff. Like he's just like, if you had to put those two things together, his stuff is better. His command is better than his stuff. Not that either are poor, but the command is the calling card. And command is going to fluctuate. Command is less sticky than stuff. Because if I have a great curveball, slider, fastball, I can kind of just throw it wherever, and there's still a better chance it gets whiffed. Bassett really needs to, because he doesn't really get people to chase either. So he has to be kind of pinpoint where those pitches are to get hitters to swing and miss or just get the called strikes he was getting a lot of earlier in the year. And also during that stretch, Bassett, we talked about this a lot in the first half of the season. He was really good at like stacking those 4 or 5 or even sometimes 6 pitches at somewhat of an equal rate to keep hitters off balance during a start. And he has been a little bit more on like a one-track pitch mind recently, throwing like a lot of sinkers or a lot of cutters and a lot of other pitches coming in like in the 10, 15, 20% range rather than like 2 or 3 pitches in that range and just like all of them together coming in. So I don't know. And Friday night was one of those starts where you could see that like all the pitches weren't working. He threw 51% sinkers. That was by far most through of any pitch, and 18% cutters and curves.
I also think it's worth noting, though, that like it's Oakland. It's a very pitcher-friendly park
for
too.
sure. Yeah,
and like he went 8 innings. He threw 91 pitches in 8 innings too. So it seemed like it was a combination of, like you said, all this stuff before, but also in Oakland, Mets have a good defense. The offense of the A's isn't something that you necessarily fear. And Bassett was probably like, this is just a game I just want to kind of get through as easy as possible, pitch to contact a little bit more, because the damage that the A's are going to do is just really not going to be that substantial.
And Buck talked about that. Maybe it wasn't Buck, but someone talked about that on Saturday when I was looking at the media stuff and listening to the beginning of the game on the radio. Basically, that like they almost wish Bassett got more work, because you only ended up throwing those 90 pitches, and he pitched, I believe, into the 9th inning, 8 1/3. So it was a situation where he was almost getting them out too quickly. But also, like, it wasn't like necessarily bad contact. Oh no, he just pitched 8. He didn't come out for the 9th.
Yeah,
incorrect there. Pull that back. But he got, I think there were 9 hard hit balls by the A's, so they were hitting the ball hard around the yard, which was like, if they're hitting it very softly, lots of ground balls, there were still lots of ground balls, I'd say yes, but also they were getting around on it. Again, this isn't anything remotely close to a cause for concern. I'm just pointing out that like there have been some differences in Bassett this year. He only did have 4 whiffs in this outing. There was a lot of contact. We have seen a lot of contact starts recently. So maybe he faces the Braves next weekend or better teams in the postseason, and you're back to 30% sliders, because that's a more whiffable pitch. Yeah, maybe he brings the curveball back up too, because that curveball has been something that's been trending upward. But just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, 6-3 was huge in this game for the Mets too. They drove in 7 runs, obviously Escobar being a big part of that. It was just, the team played really, really well. Everybody was contributing, and the Mets won this game nice and easy.
Pete was the only starter who didn't have a hard hit ball, but he also had a hit and 2 walks and score the run. Every single starter except James McCann had a hit. Even James McCann had 2 hard hit balls. Everyone was just seemed like very easy. Get through the lineup, keep moving around. Vientos had 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a walk, which is good to see. Beginning of a nice weekend for him. This is just what it felt like was very comfortable and what should happen against the Oakland Athletics.
Definitely, and we were feeling good because that Braves loss extended the lead in the division going into Saturday with Jacob deGrom, which unfortunately was the one game that we lost. And we do have to talk about the not good, which was like, there's not very few times in the last 3, 4 ever you talk about Jacob deGrom not pitching well. This was one of them. He just straight up didn't have a good start.
No, this broke his quality start streak, which extended since 2019. I'm going to pull up the exact date now in a second. It was kind of weird to watch it. And like, I was listening to Wayne and Jake Eisenberg on the call on the radio doing it, and they were like, this is bizarre.
Was it Wayne?
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Gary Thorne.
Yeah.
Thorne.
I was
right.
like,
Wayne was doing football this weekend. You're right.
Also, shout out to Wayne, because Wayne got the Albert Pujols 700 home run call on Apple TV. So shout out to Wayne, friend of the podcast. We spoke with him about talking about big moments and calling big moments and being attached to those. And he just got attached to one of the biggest moments in baseball history as the only guy calling that game on Friday night. Got to call Albert Pujols 700 home run, and it was a great call.
Very cool. Yeah, I forgot about that. We did talk about it last night. Brains are broken. It's been all over the place today.
All over the place. It's going to be a scattered episode.
Yeah, it's raining really hard outside too. But yep, that was Jacob deGrom's first non-quality start since September 3rd, 2019.
It's a long time ago.
Put that in perspective for everybody. And that
we
was
didn't
also
have a
hilarious.
podcast.
No, you didn't have close to a podcast. We
didn't live with each other. Yeah.
You were still in college.
I was. No, I had graduated at that point, September.
Yeah, a couple months graduated, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I had just moved from Columbus back to New York. That's freaking nuts. But that was also hilariously back-to-back non-quality starts for Jacob deGrom. 2 starts in a row there. He gave up 4 earned runs, but no more, no less. This one was a little bit worse than that. But I don't know. There was a lot of mitigating circumstances in the first inning where things got bad. One of them was Angel Hernandez being a little bit particular.
Hernandez.
Yeah, for sure.
Particular is probably the nicest way anyone's ever described Angel Hernandez's performance behind the plate. He's particular.
I want to get fined here. I know Angel's going to listen to this. He might call a playoff game. I can't piss him off.
That's true. Angel, we love you. We do a great job.
Yeah, because there also weren't that many like really egregious calls. Like there were some bad ones, but it was also just like more like these are calls that Jacob deGrom usually gets, or just like inconsistencies with the way the game was being called. Also, Jeff McNeil kind of misread the fly ball, got a spike caught on, I forgot who hit that ball. Was it Machine? I don't remember.
It could be.
The brain's broken. The
brain's broken. And when you start talking about the intricacies of the Oakland A's lineup, which is a revolving door for 40-man guys, it seems like, I'm not going to remember that one, especially when watching this game and seeing this one. I had 4 hours of sleep in the last about 30. So I was kind of dead at this point.
It was Dermis Garcia, actually. It was Dermis Garcia.
Dermis had a good weekend, too, and that's what I told you guys to keep an eye out for, was Dermis Garcia. Dude, it was hitting bombs all over the place.
Yeah, and then after this, I don't know. it was bizarre. Then Seth Brown hit a solo home run, which was kind of felt like a backbreaker because we had just tied the game on Mark Vientos, his first career home run. Shout out Mark, that's really
Good
cool.
weekend.
Yeah, so then that was just like oh man, like we got this. Jacob deGrom enters the mound with a 3-run lead. You've like almost every Mets fan is like, all right, I can zone out of this one. Yeah. And then they take a lead. You're like, this is really bad, but like team's gonna pick him up. The Mark Vientos is a home run the next inning. You're like, oh, we picked him up, let's go. And deGrom hit that home run, and it was just the prevailing feeling that nothing was right. And he came back out for the fourth. Sean Murphy hit a double. He walked Machine. And just the command wasn't there. And it was things are not good. And Trevor Williams comes in, gives up the home run to new Met killer Connor Capel.
Yeah,
and we're just like, what's happening? But
we had the Mr. Krabs meme of like, whoa, like you get back and you're like, I'm almost dizzy because like this is so out of the ordinary for how this stuff goes that I mean. It started the narrative with people of like, what's going on? Should we be concerned? Is this something to be worried about? And we've weirdly dug into the stats here. You know, we love to dig into the pitching stats, specifically James. But this is where the combination of James with the pitching and me with like the weird, fun, quirky trivia stuff here, along with Johnny Stats, John helping us out big time with this. We spent like 25 minutes, 30 minutes before this podcast digging in to the last time Jacob deGrom didn't have a whiff on his four-seam fastball. Because that's rare. It doesn't really happen. And what was it? The first time since what? 2015, I think we ended up finding.
This was the first time that Jacob deGrom didn't get a swing and miss with four-seam fastball since August 24th, 2015.
But here's the thing, guys. Here's where it gets absolutely crazy, is that the other times that Jacob deGrom didn't have a whiff on his four-seam fastball came on the 24th of a month as well. Like the only time he hasn't had misses is when it's been the 24th of a month in a year. Three times.
The third time was September 24th, 2022, the game we all just watched. Time before that, August 24th, 2015, a very bad start against the Cardinals. And the time before, that was the Phillies.
That was the Phillies, yeah.
And then time before that, same year, April 24th, against the Yankees, a game that was so long ago that Marc Teixeira hit 2 home runs off of Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, the lineups in these games were crazy. Like Kirk Neuenhuis was getting significant playing time for the Mets. Stephen Drew was playing for the Yankees. John just gave us that the Phillies game was the night that Wright came back, and they ended up winning that game. I think 16-7.
They came all the way back. Yes.
Yeah, they smacked the Phillies around.
Yes.
And then we found out that Jacob deGrom also had a bad start in 2016 on August 24th. So there's something weird that goes on with Jacob deGrom on the 24th day of the month where he doesn't get swings and misses with his fastball. And I honestly, that's just it. We solved the mystery. We solved the problem. Just don't worry about Jacob deGrom pitching on the 24th of the month. Like he's human. He's human. This is his human moment, is that when it's the 24th of the month, he just isn't the guy that strikes out everybody and gets whiffs on every single pitch like crazy. Like it's going to happen. He's human.
Yeah, and then just congratulations to us for figuring this out. Maybe we have to, whenever we interview deGrom, talk about what the significance of number 24 is to him. Not ever tell him any of the stuff that we know, but just be like any unlucky numbers, any lucky numbers, superstitions, anything possible, and then we'll provide that for you guys. But then just to get back to reality, like talk about the Seth Brown homer. Guys have just been hitting home runs on Jacob deGrom's fastball the last few starts. Seth Brown is a lefty. Seemed like he was just sitting dead red, put it out. Seth Brown hits a lot of home runs. That's what he does. And then, like, the biggest run-scoring play was that Jeremy's double, but it also, like, if everything was perfect, it probably would have been caught, or if it wasn't caught, it probably would have at least been less of damaging of a play. Yeah. Capel had a RBI ground out. Langolier is actually a nice piece of hitting on, I believe, I wrote it down here, was a changeup. It was a hook the ball down the line. He's a decent hitter. It happens. His velo was down a little again, but, like, wasn't actually down that much at the end of the start. It was only down a half mile an hour for the season average. And it does seem like this is something he actually might be trying.
Yeah.
So I can't really find myself to get actually nervous about Jacob deGrom because there hasn't been a moment where I actually had to. This is also, we haven't really seen deGrom pitch that much in the last few years. Like we've seen 3 half seasons since he was back-to-back Cy Young Award winner. So there hasn't been a lot of adversity. There hasn't been a lot of fatigue. Like this is an ebbs and flows of a season that we haven't actually seen from Jacob deGrom in an incredibly long time.
Now, that's a really good point that like even in his Cy Young years, there's going to be some starts in there mixed in that aren't the greatest. I mean, Jacob deGrom was still unbelievable, but yeah, he's human. He's human. He's going to have these starts. I really think that's what it just comes down to. And we were talking about it too before the podcast started about maybe guys are just now sitting the fastball because you're like, I'm not going to hit the slider. It's just not going to happen. So let's just sit fastball and just kind of sell out for it. And that seems like something that the Oakland A's would totally do. Be like, we're just going to sell out on one pitch of Jacob deGrom. It's going to be the fastball. It's going to be one we have the best chance to hit.
It's also like you team like Oakland, like you have nothing to lose. You don't care about anything. Like they just probably went into it being like, we can hit Jacob deGrom. When like good teams, thinking teams that are like really in it, like you hold the battle tighter. You're like terrified of Jacob deGrom. So maybe the A's just kind of had like dumb confidence that mixed with dumb luck, mixed with Angel Hernandez, mixed with McNeil getting a spike caught, and things just kind of snowballed. And like I'm sure if they would have let deGrom, he probably could have just gotten like 2 additional innings scoreless. He would have probably thrown 110 pitches. He probably would have worked really hard, but they were just like, it's not worth it. Like sometimes you got to tip the cap and get Trevor Williams some work. It just sometimes things go wrong. But it was really unbelievable to have the Jacob deGrom start against the Oakland Athletics and see Trevor Williams warming up in the first inning.
Yeah, no, that was unfortunate for sure, especially because we just gotten a little bit of a lead extension against the Braves, and of course they end up winning that day. So the lead went right back to 1.5, which whatever, it's fine. The Mets are still in first place. I'm fine. I'm good. You lose games. It happens. It stinks. What was great, though, is we got to forget about this one. Who cares? They lost Saturday. Not really much else we want to talk about. Sunday, game 3, that was the big one. Also, we were due for a game 2 poop fest. It had been a minute. Game 3, Scherzer on the mound. Sunday was nice and chill, just like game 1. The Mets just get a nice win, and nice and easy. No drama whatsoever. Domination.
Yes, from the beginning. Literally from the outset of this game. Max Scherzer he's incredible. Like he's someone that we're so lucky to be able to rely on, especially like having 2 aces is nice. A lot of teams don't even have one. So it's very cool that we can have 2. So when your one ace doesn't pitch that well, the next ace can come out the next day and dominate people, completely destroy them. 6 innings, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. Just amazing. Mets got a run in the second inning on I'm forgetting now. Nick with the single. We're texting the group chat about it. Very nice 2-out single by the boy over there. Escobar 2-run single the inning after, and it just completely just move ahead from there. Francisco Lindor the huge game. Pete hit the big home run.
Lindor went 3 for 5. Pete 4 for 5 with 5 RBIs. He hit the home run. He had a big double that cleared the bases.
Broke the Mets single season RBI record.
Escobar 3 for 5 as well in this. You mentioned Naquin. He was 2 for 5. Nito 2 for 5. I mean, everybody, it seemed like in the starting lineup, I believe, had a hit. And the only guy to not have multiple hits in the starting lineup was Jeff McNeil, go figure, the guy who gets hits like crazy. He went 1 for 4. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Or no, Darren Ruff. He went over 4. Sorry, Darren. Missed you there. But, I mean, everyone was hitting. Everybody was swinging it. It was great. It was nice and easy. That's the kind of game I needed after a crazy, crazy weekend. It was nice to come home, lay on the couch, be like, oh, the Mets are up, whatever, up by 6 in the 4th inning.
7-1.
Yeah, 7-1 in the 4th inning. This is awesome. This is great. This is exactly what I need. And it was smooth sailing. Max Scherzer's so good. You guys know it. You guys know the drill. I mean, how much else do we really need to talk about from this game?
Francisco Lindor got his full season OPS back above 800. Pete Alonso, I said before. Yep. Broke Mets single.
Well, which one do you want to talk about first? I want to talk about Lindor hitting 100 RBIs for the first time in his career as well.
All right, mention that, and then I'll say Pete because it kind of ties in.
Yeah, we'll talk about Pete. Go for it. I just mentioned Lindor.
The Pete thing, he had some quotes after the game about it. Saw him on Twitter. And he just talked about how, like, having an RBI record almost has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my teammates. Like, how much these guys have gotten on base ahead of me. Like, how much this lineup has been able to turn over. Top of the order, the bottom of the order. That's all been great. If you remember, all the way back in April, an entire sponsorship ago. Is that even the word? A partnership? I don't even know what the
partnership,
word is. Yeah, a whole partnership ago. We told you guys that Pete was going to really regress in his RBI totals. Like last year, he barely even got to 90 or even 80, I believe.
Yeah.
And the way the Mets stacked this lineup, expecting them to be healthy, getting Canna, getting Marte, Lindor hitting ahead of them, due to regress positively. Like there were going to be tons of opportunities for Pete Alonso to, as we said, what?
Did you say regress positively?
Like just the fact that like regression can go in either direction. So I'm just like saying like I'm kind of.
Can it? I not to call you out
in a statistical term because you regress to a mean. I guess maybe it's not necessarily the exact right term I'm using because I'm not a magician.
I feel like regression always talks about like going downward.
But it's the same premise that like when he's having like this many like people are going to be on base and Pete Alonso is going to continue coming to the plate even if he wasn't driving these guys in the past. It's a little to do with him. It's just eventually what happened.
Okay. This is just me probably. I always assume regression is negative.
In the word that in the way that you're talking about the word, I believe that's true. But
okay. In terms of statistics, I'm going to trust you guys. Johnny Stats is chiming in too. And if there's anybody who's going to know about this, it's going to be Johnny Stats. He's saying it's correct. So not trying to call you out, but mentally, and I'm sure people listening to are like regression, and he's playing better. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's positive regression. Just you're always coming to a mean. So either you're going up or you're going down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And Pete Alonso has gone way up this year. Just way up, way up. We told everyone about it in April. it's just amazing that he's become like as clutch as he has, as consistent as he has, this incredible season he's having. And same with Lindor. 2 guys with 100 RBIs. First time Mets did that since 2006.
Francisco Lindor,
Or 2007.
Like you said, his OPS is back above 100. The years that they're having
800.
are incredible. 800. Did I say how much? Did I say?
100.
Oh, I said, yeah. Oh my God. My brain is broken, guys.
Broken brain episode.
Man, it's been a long one. It's been a long weekend. 25 homers, 103 RBIs, 16 stolen bases, 275, 346, 802 for Francisco Lindor. That's my shortstop right there. Love the guy.
That's my National League MVP.
I like it. We're pushing for it. Let's make Francisco Lindor the MVP. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm here for it if it does. Probably not.
Close. I mean, in WAR, he's like him, Machado, Goldschmidt, Arenado are all basically exactly the same.
And those are all really, really good players.
I'm happy we have one of them. But
yes,
you look at a series like this, if you don't look in the minutia of Jacob deGrom and get worried about that, you see the Mets won 2 out of 3 again, which statistically that makes sense because the Oakland A's, as bad as they are, they're still going to win a third of their games. And you just keep moving on. You still have a lead in the Braves. Still won a game and a half because they somehow found a way to pull this hurricane game out of their ass in Philadelphia on Sunday.
Phillies, man. I've hated the Phillies for a long time. This is like they really just newfound hatred that they just couldn't close away this game. Really needed them to take 3 or 4 from the Braves. 2 of 2. It's okay. 3 or 4 would have been great.
And now we have 2 games until our fateful final, second to last series of the year in Atlanta next weekend. Imagine 1 week from right now, it's 10 o'clock next Sunday. We'll have basically full clarity on whether or not the Mets are going to win the division or not. Yeah,
we're going to be either really, really sweaty or we're going to be maybe a little bit drunk. Maybe a little bit drunk if the Mets are take the division in Atlanta, which would be so amazing. That'd
covering that locker room in champagne.
But hey, I mean, we're gonna preview the Marlins series.
We got to get there first. It's still a lot of work to do.
A lot of work to do. Can't forget about those. But speaking about a lot of work to do, your boy has done a lot of work in the Esti-Met, which is when we're going to bring in John here. Because, John, what's that record looking like for the Esti-Met? How are we doing? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Did I win this one?
Yeah, Mark, you sound like a guy who knows exactly what happened this weekend in Oakland in terms of the minutia of pop foul balls, pop flyouts. 8 total. So Mark goes a game up. I believe this is your first lead the entire time since we started this back in June, which is
I actually think he won the first one, then I rattled them off.
I feel like I didn't have a lead at all. How big did your lead get though, James?
I think it was 7-3. I think it was 7-3.
7-3, 6-1. There was quite a bit of a lead that has just dwindled away, especially with the new format, the new system where we just both spit out numbers. I mean, I have been cash. I think I'm just a good handicapper. I think that's just what we're learning is I set an incredible line.
I think you've actually just gotten better at setting lines because if you were good at setting lines, you would have been able to set them in the beginning as well. You were bad at setting lines in the beginning.
No, but because I thread the needle, I give you the middle number. And when you just have to say over under what I'm giving you, that's tough.
That was easy. Yeah. We want to do one like that for old time's sake.
No. Let's keep it going. James is going to be wearing a tuxedo opening day next year. John, what is the Esti-Met for this series against the Marlins?
So this series against the Marlins, Don Mattingly and the Marlins today announced that this will be the last season that Donnie Baseball is in the Marlins dugout. So he's been there for a long time. I think it goes back to 2016?
I believe so. I think that sounds right. I don't know. Don Mattingly, he's a manager.
I think 2016.
Yeah, 2016 was his first season with the Marlins, correct?
Yeah, so it's been a while. I mean, that goes back to the last time the Mets were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Don Mattingly, we were talking about this before the show started. Mark, I'm sure anyone else who's watched either Dodger games back when he was Dodger skipper or Marlins games, Don Mattingly likes to sit back, rub those hands together, do some managing.
Yes.
His fingerprints on the outcome of a game. Lots of changes, lots of mound visits, lots of pitching changes.
He's Donnie Baseball. He's got to
baseball.
That's the manager's job. You got to make decisions, and the guy's always ready to make a decision.
Got to push the right button. So I guess we can put it this way. How many times will Don Mattingly try to push the right button in this 2-game series? And shout out Don Mattingly because you guys are going to get to this, but the Mets are not seeing Sandy Alcantara in this series. And it looked like they were going to be seeing Sandy Alcantara. So that's quite nice for this little 2-game series. So I'll give it to you guys again as the rain outside is just insane right now.
That's going to be coming our way, I guess.
It's subsided over here. No, John's east now.
Yeah. John's not east. He's west.
I'm out on Long Island right now.
Oh, you are.
That's east.
That's right. All right. Yeah, that is east. Good.
Yeah.
East, west, north, south.
It's all
Brain's
all
broken.
the same. Seriously, this is one for the.
Listen, when you have a series in Oakland and there was a total of what was their attendance? The 7th line went out there and I think probably tripled what their normal attendance is. So
I saw someone in the 7th line chug a beer out of a prosthetic leg on Twitter.
I saw that too.
That was
yesterday.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
That's
wait, how about you got to get to this? We got to talk about this. Paramount allegedly putting the smile people
I
behind
forgot
the
about
plate.
that.
no free
Yeah.
promo. I don't want to talk about it. Nah, that was
Fine.
crazy. Yeah,
They did
that-
one
that-
at the Yankee game the other night too.
Yeah,
The one that
you
Mark
gotta
was
tip.
at.
You gotta tip your cap.
That was really good.
That's a really creative way to go about advertising.
I feel like Chris Bassitt was the perfect guy to be on the mound to deal with that. Like, you throw a rookie out there, you can get
Scherzer.
rattled by that easily. Scherzer, I don't know.
I feel like
Bassett's got
Scherzer
that,
would just overthrow one, like get one to the net, like right next to the person's face, just to rattle them.
end it all together.
Yeah.
Do you
more
guys
of
want-
stuff on that pitching?
So I'm looking at the attendance. The Mets were 18,000 on Friday night, 16,000 on Saturday night. I don't know what it was on Sunday. You know what the Oakland A's did the last 3 games before that? Not to really
6,000, 8,000.
6, 7.
4,000, 4,600 was the high on Thursday night. So those 3 games combined against the Mariners, the Mets in one game already eclipsed that. That's insane. Yeah, Oakland. There was an opportunity to go to Oakland for this 3 games in 24 hours, and I was like, I love the Mets, but that can't be the game, Oakland.
Could you imagine if you would have been sitting in the Oakland Coliseum instead of at Los Angeles Niagara Pools' 700th home run?
699 and 700 in one night. I could have been there, and I mean, again, I love the Mets, but Oakland, not the city for me. I don't think.
Cool city. Have you been to? So you haven't been to that park?
No, I'm really trying my hardest to avoid going to the Oakland Coliseum. I'm hoping that they get a new stadium, and then I will go to the new one when it's nice, because I've never heard a good thing about Oakland Coliseum as a baseball stadium.
It's got character.
That's a professional way to put it there, John. It's got character.
And lots of foul territory.
Lots of foul territory. And you know what? It's the reason I'm leading in the Esti-Met. So thank you, Oakland, for that.
Lots of foul territory. Also, that deGrom started, the Mets didn't get to a couple of those really just long foul balls, journeys to get to them. So you could have even gone higher.
Could have gotten higher. But okay, so Don Mattingly, pitching changes. Back to, we're on some tangents. Again, we're exhausted. It's only 10 o'clock. This isn't even a late episode for us. But Don Mattingly pitching changes in the 2-game series against the Mets with the Marlins. How many are we going to see?
The other caveat here is that we are facing Pablo Lopez just to start bleeding into the preview. And the Mets are just the Pablo Lopez kryptonite.
They really are. Like,
Now
especially
I'm
in
saying
City
that
Field, too.
he'll throw like 8 now, I know for sure, just from saying that. But
Way to go, James. You had to say something. You had to know.
just
You
said-
know the
I
powers
just-
we have.
I just said they've been kryptonite. That's true.
That
I didn't
is
say
true.
anything about the future.
True. Good job. All right.
I'm trying to DJ.
I'm writing down my number here. It's gonna be, honestly, let's go with this. I think the Marlins. It's the end of the year. Mets are swinging the bat well. Maybe the Marlins want to see what's going on with some of their pitchers.
Yeah.
Get a little aggressive here.
I don't even know.
97 wins now for the Mets, by the way. That is the most by a Mets team since 2006, which I think you both will agree with me is the best Mets team of our lifetime. Our dads have definitely seen better Mets teams.
Yeah.
But 06, just contextualizing that, thinking about how much fun that 06 season was.
I would love
Like-
an 06 with better ending.
To be
And
10 years
this
old again?
is- To be 10 years old again. Wouldn't that be nice also?
But John, you
But-
were probably like 18, but
Oh, yeah. Everyone gets their
John was junior in college, 2006.
yeah.
If I remember correctly. John was completing his doctorate in stats.
You could purchase a legal alcohol beverage.
This is when Rutgers was beating Louisville, Pandemonium Piscataway that long ago.
Are you? And then they've been irrelevant since. Sorry, Rutgers.
I think that's the year The Sopranos ended, or maybe 2005.
Still haven't
That
watched
sounds
The
about
Sopranos.
right. That sounds about right. Are you guys ready?
I got my
I
number.
think
It's
so.
written on an envelope. This is an interesting one.
All right, you mailing it in.
Yeah, I'm mailing it in. Good one, John. Quick. All right, here we go.
All right.
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
7.
6.
Oh!
Oh.
Let's go. So you want to know why I went with 7? Because I've been going with 7. I think that's been my answer like the last 3 or 4 maybe, and I've been winning. So I'm gonna go with 7 again. It's a 2-game series.
I almost did 7. We haven't matched yet. That would have been what happens if we match?
That's honestly almost the crazier thing is that we haven't yet gotten the same number on an Esti-Met. But
yeah,
we didn't get it this one, so it doesn't matter. But 6, James, I love when you go lower than me because I can really I can vote for chaos. I start throwing in all the pitchers. They could throw 6 in the first game on Tuesday.
No, for sure, yeah,
it's a possibility.
Right, 6 fouls. I mean, our numbers are incredibly close together. It's not like we have different frames of thought.
Correct. I just love when you're lower than me. That's the good one.
All right, easy. We'll see how we go here.
Yeah, we'll see how we do. John, anything else to talk about? John, this is the rare, maybe 40-minute episode. So this is up to you. Do you want to make it a little bit longer? Do you have anything you want to talk to us about, or should we talk about the Marlins series?
Rangers open soon.
There you go. You read my mind. Tomorrow night. So we got all the sports. We got all the good stuff. We got college football.
We're about to have the what's the word?
The cornucopia? No. Yeah. What is the word? It's in October when all 4 leagues are going at the same time. It's not an eclipse. I guess an eclipse would be a good word for it, sort of. Right?
I like the nexus. I don't know what a nexus is, but I like what that sounds like. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Rangers and Islanders play a preseason game tomorrow, so that's exciting. I mean.
Okay, so I need insight here onto preseason hockey because spring training baseball, we're crazy Mets fans. We know it. Mm-hmm. You're intently watching this preseason hockey game?
Am I intently watching a preseason hockey game? So I think like any sport, the first one, when you get that first taste of it, you're all over it. But for me, like if a 3rd or 4th stringer, like someone I know is starting the year in the AHL is starting, I'm not all over that. There's a couple guys I want to see, but it's not like baseball where if there's a prospect and you know what innings he's pitching, a pitching prospect. Like you can dial in for the 3rd and 4th innings. Like I want to see Vitaly Kravtsov, right? James was talking about him.
100%.
A guy that you want to buy some stock in.
Of course, I want to see Mojo. Maybe we get hockey. You can do it.
Perhaps. But like I can't time when I'm watching Vitaly Kravtsov. I'm either sitting down watching.
And even when you do, it's like he's on the ice for like 45 seconds.
Yeah. But no, I mean, look, it's nice to have the ice down. But here's the thing. The best October is one where the Rangers don't matter.
Yes, that's true.
That's the best October. I remember October 06. I wasn't dialed into the Rangers at all that year until like November, really, because it took like 2 weeks to get over what happened. So
listen, I like that. I like that philosophy there, John.
Yeah, I like hockey a lot. I'm not a puckhead like John, but I usually tap into the Rangers the second both like at one time in my life this was a real sentence. It's not anymore. Once like the Mets and Jets became irrelevant, but now I've replaced the Jets basically with Ohio State. So once those 2 seasons are over, so that's after the parade and after the national championships, that'll be like June. That'll be like January 15th. Then I'll really lock into the Rangers.
That's my birthday. You just happened to pick my birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday. There you go. Perfect.
That's when hockey matters, is Mark's birthday. That's the day that we start caring about hockey. Yeah, usually I wait till the Knicks become irrelevant, which is pretty often now. Yeah, like South Carolina football has never been good since I've cared, so that doesn't help me. I root for a lot of losing teams here, so it's nice that the Mets are playing well, and maybe the Rangers will get good too.
I'm actually watching our listenership fall as we've talked about nonsense, but it was cool to see Ohio State dog walk Wisconsin on Saturday. That was great.
Yeah,
that was crazy. That was a wild win.
That was as dominant as they've even looked in the Big Ten. That was against a team that was in the top 20 to start the year.
South Carolina beat Charlotte. John, how did Indiana do? Did they play?
They did. I was on the other side of Indiana, so I didn't really get to see much of that game. They lost by like 20-something to Cincinnati. So,
oh, geez. All right.
Yeah, it was all good. I took it a really good FAU Purdue game, which is a sentence I didn't think that I would be saying a year ago.
Florida Atlantic and Purdue. That's like, how does that even come up on a schedule? How do the ADs even are like, let's schedule Florida Atlantic to come up and play in Purdue?
Yeah, I think there's money exchanged. I think don't the bigger schools pay the smaller schools to play them?
They do, but like how much bigger is Purdue than Florida Atlantic realistically?
Oh, Purdue's a pretty big school. I mean, that's a Big Ten school compared to a Conference USA.
Boilermaker.
Purdue is big. I mean, I don't like Purdue at all. But that's big time athletics.
It's known for its engineers and its hot dogs.
Yeah, I didn't realize Neil Armstrong went to Purdue.
The astronaut?
Yeah, there's like 3 buildings named after him. I was on campus yesterday, and like all you turn around, there's Neil Armstrong.
Well, if the moon landing was real. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
That's wild.
I had to throw
this
that out there.
podcast for you to say that.
Mets stop after dark.
It was on a tee. That was too easy. All right. I think that's the official time. Let's get John out of here. Let's wrap this one up.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the 40-minute episode. John, thank you. Appreciate you.
See you guys later. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Thanks. I was menacing.
We talked about Pablo Lopez starting game 1. This is also like a weird time in the Mets schedule where they're gonna have 2 off days in between or on the outside of the filling that's gonna be the Miami Marlins series of just random 2.
And you guys keep an eye out on the off day. We're going to be dropping a bonus episode on Tuesday because there's just 2 days between Mets baseball. Hoping that's Howie, but we'll see how that works out. We'll talk about that after this. But the other pitcher we're going to see is Jesus Luzardo, who he looked good against us last time, and he's Jesus Luzardo is like, I'm trying to think. He's kind of like Jesus Luzardo is kind of like a mango, where you're going to come into it, you don't know what you're going to get.
Okay, all right.
You know
where are you going with this? Yeah,
mangoes. It could be fantastic, but also you could be like, oh, this is terrible.
It's a finicky fruit.
It is a finicky fruit with very high ceiling and a very low floor.
I prefer, and you're gonna laugh that James is gonna really love this one. I prefer mango tasting things than the actual mango. Like a mango ice is so much better than a real mango. Mango, I've had some great mango living with you when we were roommates. You're like, man, what a great mango, and I've had it. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of like watermelon to me. I don't understand the hype around a great mango or a watermelon. They just always seem like they taste the same. And I've had people say, this is a great watermelon, this is a great mango, and it's always let me down.
I feel you with watermelon, but I don't feel you on mango. But I just don't feel like taking the time to argue about this on this baseball podcast about fruit.
No, that's fine.
We've got Carrasco and Taiwan pitching for us this series. 2 guys who've been very good recently. 2 guys who I like. I like the way the schedule has lined up now, where we get those guys against the Marlins, then we're going to, in some order, have Bassett, deGrom, Scherzer against Atlanta. Will be interesting to see how the Mets do order that, because as of right now, it's scheduled the exact same way as this past series, where it's Bassett Friday, deGrom Saturday, Scherzer Sunday. But there is a world where the National Series becomes important, and you kind of probably would like for either deGrom or Scherzer to have an opportunity to start in those games, correct?
Yes. But I also don't want to talk about it because this Marlins series, you gotta win 2. You gotta win 2 here against the Marlins. So I don't even want to look forward yet.
Looking too far ahead.
Yeah, like
none of those guys are pitching the series, so it's irrelevant. Okay, you're right. I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, kill it. We'll end it there. I want to focus on the Marlins, beat the pants off of them, and then we can start talking about the absolute chaos that is going to ensue next weekend because. Let's be honest. That's really what everyone's looking forward to. But we got to beat the Marlins. It's very important to beat the Marlins.
As long as we win those 2 games, at worst case scenario, we're going into Atlanta up a game, and we have a tiebreaker with them. So that means by winning 1 game, we'll guarantee ourselves a tiebreaker and what is still a controlling of our own destiny by at least keep winning one of those games.
Yes. So beat the Marlins.
If we win these 2 games this week, because the Braves are heading to Washington for a 3-game series starting on Monday night. So our off day, they're going to be playing. They can cut the lead by half a game. They're facing Corey Abbott, which I don't feel that good about.
Listen, Corey Abbott is a pitcher.
He's pesky. And you know what else? Nationals lineup is doing a little bit of things right now. Joey Baseball, Joey Meneses,
baby.
He single-handedly won me a fantasy baseball matchup this week to the point where earlier in the day in a semifinal where I thought I was going to lose, I texted the group chat. I did my reverse jinx, got it out of the way, which was very helpful. And then I said, if I do win this championship, I am getting a Meneses jersey.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say you should get one.
He's been so blazing hot for me. He's been so clutch. CJ Cron had a little injury this week. Meneses filled in at first base, was flying colors, has the outfield eligibility, has been such a chess piece for him in the daily league. I can't believe how good he's been for the last month. We saw his major league debut. Feel somewhat connected to him in that way. We need a Joey Meneses home run off Bryce Elder tomorrow to keep this train going.
Wait, is the matchup tomorrow Bryce Elder versus Corey Abbott?
Yeah.
That is like the most oatmeal, not even oatmeal.
It's like 2 characters from a story mode in a video game.
It's like tap water. Like that game is who's got the better tap water, Corey Abbott or Bryce Elder. My goodness.
Not to look ahead, but the Braves have scheduled the series against us, obviously, to have Fried, Wright, Morton.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
with Strider on the shelf.
No looking ahead.
But just mentioning.
To end this here, John put an insane clip of what's going on at Yankee Stadium right now during the rain delay. there's a man who appears to be bathing in ketchup.
No way.
You got to look at this video before we wrap up here, because like it has to be spoken about. I don't know who you are, man, but
Oh my God.
that's like quite possibly one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
Look at the people looking at him.
I mean, yeah, like this is the closest thing ever to a human circus. What the hell is going on there? How does that even come up? I'm gonna douse myself in pounds of ketchup.
Why is this went out 13 minutes ago? Why have only 9,000 people seen it?
Well, it's 61 quote tweets is a shocking amount in that amount of time for someone who's got 100 followers on Twitter. My gosh. All right. Let's wrap this one up here, guys. Follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're watching the YouTube video, New York Mets YouTube channel, go subscribe over there. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Odyssey, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. I promise the next episode will be a little more put together, a little more hype. It's been a crazy weekend for the boys. Oakland does this to you, puts you in a lull. Beat the Marlins, win 2, and then we can talk about the next series after that. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Follow James at
James_Shiano.
Me at Giraffe Neck Mark. Bye. I'm done. Good night.
Later, guys. Catch you next time. Beat the Marlins.
Get up, get up, get up.